Hey, this is John Plementosh again, sitting in my truck out on the highway. Getting ready. I want to speak to you, about the Tribulation versus the Rapture. And to me, this is one of the most important topics I got. So I'm going to do my best to convey it. But let me give you a quick little prayer first. You know, John, I'm just a servant of God. And I'm a servant of all God's creation. I give praise and thanks to God and Jesus Christ. I appreciate all the support, patience, wisdom, and teaching they have provided. I'm thankful for the revelation of His Word and the opening of my eyes and my ears. They're faithful in their promises to me and to you, and always have an outstretched hand for those who seek them. And may they bless these videos and continue their loving guidance through these times. Amen. All right. The rapture and the tribulation is a topic that I don't understand why people teach it the way they teach it. It is going to happen in what they say. There's going to be a church rapture and a church ending and a tribulation. And then there's these people, are you pre-tribber or you post-tribber? None of that matters. But you got to understand, rapture and tribulation applies to people on an individual level, just as much as those big levels that they're talking about. And you can see that with King David, because David was always in favor with God until he killed someone and took the man's wife, and then he was in tribulation. And you can see it even says it in that chapter. You can go look that up yourself. I'm not here to freaking do everything for you. All right. So before we start this topic, we got to understand some things. I don't get involved in all those events and things that people do, but I do look at things how God taught me on an individual level. Because I don't understand that confusion they put out there. God said there's going to be false gods, there are false Christ and false prophets, and He says that plurally. And those people that are false Christ want you to believe what they're saying, and they put the fear in you. All right. You got to understand this about God. He has never, ever left us without a way out. No matter what the situation is. I told you those examples in convenience chapter. That He makes everything convenient. He left Moses with the parting of the sea. Samuel with the ram. Lot, the angels teleported them out of the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. And you can just keep going. That's why all those stories are in the Bible, to let you know there's a way out if you turn your heart towards Him. It's also, those way outs are known as the rapture on an individual level. You know, before any destruction, renewing, or rebuilding happens, He'll remove you away from all the evil, just like He did in chapter 1. That's what I keep trying to tell you. Everything goes back to 1, 2, and 3. He overcame evil and then made all good, and then took us into the garden, those who were after His heart. And today we're in chapter 1 again, but you got to renew your mind to get in God's thoughts to be in the rapture. God has no intention of letting evil back into His new creation. Why would He do that? He's got rid of it once, made day 7. We invited it back in. We're full of evil. He's not taking you back there unless you change your heart. He's been telling us for thousands of years how to do that, how to correct that. This is chapter 1. We don't know. Chapter 1 could have taken millions of years. This is taking thousands of years. I don't know. It's not up to us to know God's timelines. God does His thing, period. You know, just like I was showing that ball of water and how that was split. I told you that story. That's not a factual thing in science or anything. That's just how God conveyed to me that message. And He may find another way to convey how to see His message to you other than that ball of water. But it's not up to me to try and say, oh, that's not what science says, and you got to look up here, and geologists say the earth. None of that matters. That matters is the message, and this is what the message is, and this is the most important heart of the message that He's trying to tell you. So get this. Like I said, we're full of evil, and He's been teaching us for thousands of years to make this correction. But we're the proverbial teenagers. No, I got this. This is what science says. I can prove this with this, and I can prove... No, listen to God. Put your heart on God, not that stuff. Therefore, since we can't turn our hearts to God, there's a tribulation. And that tribulation is designed for something. So let's find out what that is. But before we talk about tribulation, we need to answer this question. What is the last thing a person does when they're facing death, that they reach the very bottom of the hope of life? And you see that mostly, or a lot of times, in our druggies, but depressed people get there, alcoholics get there. And I don't care if you believe in God or not. The truth is built into us. They're going to call out to God. They're going to look for that last saving grace. And they're either going to understand what's going on, and they're going to turn their heart towards God, or they're going to commit suicide. All right. We hope that they turn their heart towards God, and suicide is not part of the thing. But I submit to you, every human being has that same experience, not just those people. You're going to have it. It may not be till you've laid down and closed your eyes and died. Everybody says you're going to meet Jesus. I'm going to tell you exactly what you're going to meet. You're going to meet your own condemnation in the final moment. Is this what I did in life, or is this what I not did in life? Your own condemnation is going to be far worse than meeting Jesus. And that's what this is all about. Alright. So we know they're going to beg God for mercy and make promises to Him to get through this. The tribulation is also a second chance. God is not just going to slam the door. I told you before, it's designed. This is where an aforementioned, or what we talked about before, He is answering our request. Those with a true passion for God have been removed, or they've been raptured. Now it's your time to receive the message. Alright? If you accept God in your tribulation, you're going to be saved. Or you're going to commit suicide. And then you're going to be forever condemned to hell for that choice. Where can we see examples of this? When Jesus was on the cross and He had the two thieves behind Him. One, they're in their tribulations. Trust me, hanging on the cross, you're not having a pleasant day. One still can't accept Jesus. The other realizes what's going on and says, don't you know who that is on that cross up there? I know who that is now. I'm giving my heart to Him. And Jesus said, I'll see you on the other side, to the one that believed. Another one is Peter and the three roosters crowing. And Jesus said, you're going to deny me. You're going to deny me. That is putting yourself into the tribulation. Denial, denial, denial. Then all of a sudden the third one crows and he goes, He's right. I am denying Him. I need to find my love for Jesus. And when Jesus was all done, they come back and accepted Peter. Now, Judas Iscariot, he's running business of Jesus' finances just like today. And he's trying to find a way to climb up the ladder of success. And he's going to sell them out because you're just going to improve your position. We're going to sell out and step on this guy so I can get to the next position. And when he realized what he did to Jesus, when Jesus is being crucified, he realized it. I told you, self-condemnation. He threw the money back. He said, I don't need your money. This was all wrong. Then he committed suicide. Self-condemnation. Jesus would have took him back. But rather than turn his heart back, he killed himself. Not a thing to do. So, if saying that, you can ask yourself, how many ways are there to heaven? We're taught there's only one, and that's through Jesus. And you're correct. Now, how many ways are there to Jesus? 2. The rapture and the tribulation. Alright. I think one of the cruelest questions somebody can ask you, are you saved and are you going to heaven? And they don't understand it. The one way to heaven is Jesus, 2 ways to Jesus. Because when they ask that question, sure, we'll get you to heaven, but are they saving you from the tribulation? Are they pointing out the tribulation to you? No. They're not telling you that You need to really get, I mean, they're telling you need to get your, and oh no, we tell them that, we tell them, but they're not breaking it out that there's two ways to Jesus. And that should take everybody by surprise. If everybody wants to go to heaven, it's not a valid question when they just ask you, are you going to heaven? That's because what you got to go through to get there is what? No. That's the important thing. You can't sit on the fence. We're going to go over that in a minute. It's a valid question, you know, if put in a proper context. I just haven't seen it properly used yet. We know the rapture's for those, although they're imperfect beings, that show true willingness to move towards God. They've been given favor, and they're not going to experience a tribulation because their heart's towards God. They found a relationship with God. I told you when I wrote all these videos and are doing all these videos and all this stuff, don't listen to me. I'm just you. That's it. You got to establish that relationship with God. You listening to me is not going to get you this. All right? It's not going to save you. You got to get that relationship with God and speak with Him. The tribulation is a terrifying time, and it could be a mild terrifying time depending on your position and where you've been at in life. But for some, it's a really, really horrible time. And it's designed that when you face death at the bottom of the barrel, you know, you're just wishing life would end. It's designed for you to realize you've rejected God, like Peter did, like the first thief did, like Judas Iscariot did. But He takes you back if you'll turn your heart. And it could even be at the last second. But you had to go through the tribulation to get to the last second. That's the part I'm trying to stop you from doing. Alright? But not all people succumb to this tribulation. They still reject God. And we saw what they do. They die. And those people, if they do some kind of tribulation during their life, they want to kill us. And you saw in that one reading, or you're going to see in one reading, that our children will turn against us. Then there'll be famine and starvation. Can't possibly cover how horrible this time will be. It's all designed for you to turn. That's what it's designed for. You to turn your hearts to God, because all that stuff is not of God. It's of Lucifer. And you got to turn your heart to God. There's only two thoughts to be in. You can be in God's thoughts, or you can be in Lucifer's thoughts. Period. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure that out. Now we know the difference. So why would you just be happy making it to heaven? Shouldn't we want to make it to heaven through the rapture, through loving God? That's the key. Then we can ask, should God be so controlled? So all right, I got this. Why? We can ask, how could God be so cruel? Why the tribulation? He's not. He's telling you, stop. Put your heart on me. That all ends. Boom. Done. We make the choice to stay in it. Like I told you, when we invent something and it doesn't work and it makes us sick, and we invent something to improve that, which makes things worse. When we invent things to improve that, and it makes things worse, and it keeps expanding out and growing. That's an important philosophy to remember, because we're going to go over that in just a second. All right? But we keep making things worse. All right? He doesn't. He's like, stop, come back. You can do this right here. I'll save you right now. All right? Well, I've got to quit saying that word. Are we one that just believes? We don't really engage in church. These are some signs that you're not making the rapture. Doesn't mean you're not making it to heaven. Do we go to church just to cover the bases? Do we half-heartedly pursue God? Or do we just say, that's everybody's interpretation, I don't need to pay attention? If you've got a relationship with God, He's going to tell you what's real. He doesn't care what other people's interpretations are. He cares what you believe in Him. We all believe what we believe. I do not think we should talk about it. See? Causes problems. Tribulation's waiting for you. Are you involved in a named religion? It's religions that crucified Jesus. I've already told you that. God doesn't like religion. He just wants your love. He doesn't need it named and defined. They told him that, he didn't think like them, and since Jesus didn't think like them, they killed him. Does your church tell people, well, you don't think like us, so we're not going to make you a member, but you can come, because you might donate money, but you can come, but you got to be accepted here by thinking like us. And then tribulation will be very trying for us people. The thing we need to observe about the rapture is there's never been a mass of people raptured. I think the Israelites might be the closest to that statement, but it's always been one person that found favor with God that kept things going. History's always accurate. Do you think today there's going to be a mass of people raptured? No. History repeats. It's not going to be wrong. God knows that. God sees our hearts. Get your heart on Him, because catching the rapture is going to be very slim. And that's my purpose in telling you this. Maybe we can take a mass. That can change. We always want to know more than life. We always want to be that proverbial teenager. Oh, yeah. Well, you said the ball of water. Well, science says no. Listen to what God tells you, because He's going to know what to tell you that's going to make sense to you for you to believe Him. I don't know what makes sense to you for you to believe God. All right? So establish a relationship with God. Don't believe what I say. I'm only giving you my understanding and sharing that with you and what He teaches with me. So let's look at the two stories on rapture and tribulation in the Bible. We'll go through those and I'll kind of break them down a little bit for you. I'm not going to go into a lot of details, but one thing that stands out the most is how Jesus puts His hands on His hips, shaking His head, just like parents do to children. The trainer at work tells the trainee, and nobody's listening to him. But I told you, this is how you do it, and it would have been a lot easier, but you didn't listen to me. You were that proverbial teenager that just knew better, but you didn't listen. I'll show you them verses when we get there. So let's start this. Chapter 24 of Matthew, verse 3. And He sat upon the Mount of Olives. The disciples came to Him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall the sign of Thy coming in the end of the world? And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed, no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ. See, plural, not just one. And he shall deceive many. And ye shall hear the wars and rumors of wars, so that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass. But the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. And all these are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. See, our hearts are going to get cold because of these false prophets, these lies we get told. All right. But he shall endure to the end, the same shall be saved. But this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all the nations, and then shall the end come. I hope you share this, because people need to see this before they go. When ye therefore shall see the abomination and desolation spoken by Daniel the prophet stand in thy holy place, and just who hears it, let him understand. Then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Let him which is on the housetop not come down and take anything out of his house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe unto them with child, and to them that give suck in those days. But I pray ye that your flight be not in winter, nor in the Sabbath day. For then shall be a great tribulation. This is the masses, not the individual. such as was not since the beginning of the world for this time, nor ever shall be. And except in those days, if you found favor with God or Jesus, this is what's going to happen. Those days should be shortened. There should be no flesh saved. But for the elect's sake, or the favored ones, in those days they shall be shortened. And if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not. For there shall arise false Christs, plural, and false prophets, plural, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they would deceive the very elect. In verse 25, Jesus got his hands on his hips, and behold, I have told you. We don't listen. Wherefore they shall say unto you, Behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not. For as the lightning cometh out of the east, and shineth even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For whosoever, I say that every time, for wheresoever the carcass is, there will be eagles be gathered together. And immediately after the tribulation in those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the power of heaven shall be shaken. And then shall appear a sign of the Son of Man in heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with great sound and trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, and from the ends, from one end of heaven to the other, just like they did with Lot in Sodom and Gomorrah. All right, we're going to go to chapter 13, and you can see he told us. All right, and he sat up in chapter 13, verse 3, and he sat upon the Mount of Olives over against the temple, and Peter, James, and John, and Andrew asked him privately, Tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall the signs when all these shall be fulfilled? Again, I'm going to tell you this. I told you somewhere earlier in one of the videos, there were 3 periods. The beginning to the flood to Jesus' death. Jesus' death after is the end times. Those are the 3 periods. So the end times covers all the wars, floods, disasters, famines, and all that stuff. But it grows progressively worse as time goes on, as we invent more things, as we turn our hearts against God. And there's more than just inventions that do that, but we turn our hearts against God, and we finally get to a period where so out of control, so out of the thoughts of God, that God's going to make the determination, now is the time. Just like he did with Sodom and Gomorrah. He sent the angels down to check before he destroyed them. He had to make sure. Abraham asked him, if there's 100, will you say yes? If there's 10, will you save the cities? Yes. If there's 1, will you save the cities? Yes. That's why they grabbed Lot and took him out of the cities, so they could be destroyed and be the example we need to learn from. But he had to send angels, just like he's going to send angels in the end times. They're going to come down, they're going to meet people, they're going to meet these people on the street, they're going to have sex with them, they're going to have all this woke stuff going on, they're going to have, and the angels are going to be like, if they can't find anybody on the streets, they're going to go back to God, and the same thing's going to happen. It happened to Sodom and Gomorrah. But he's not just going to destroy us without final checking his creation. And then when them days start, those people with heart, he's going to shorten their days so they can get out of here and not be part of that. Alright? Okay. I was doing okay till it's starting to get warm. Let's do chapter 13 of Mark, verse 3. And I did that. James, and they asked him, and Jesus answered them and began to say, Take heed lest any man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and shall deceive many. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to tell you the end time story. They're virtually saying, hey, I understand Christ. This is the end time story. If they can't tell you, nobody knows the time of the end, not even God, because it's controlled by us and the speed at which we turn our hearts against God, then they're telling you a false Christ. Period. We control that speed. We can stop it. We can slow it completely down. If all humans would turn their heart to God, it would never happen. I don't want to make God laugh. We don't listen like that. We're the proverbial teenager. He knows that. Our hearts are hard. Okay? Then ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, and be ye not troubled, for such things must needs be, and they've happened through all time. But end shall not be yet. Nation shall rise against nation, and we have world wars, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be earthquakes in diverse places, and there shall be famines and troubles. These are just the beginning. Like I said, each invention is going to take us worse into that. But take heed to yourself, for they shall deliver you up to councils and in synagogues. Ye shall be beaten, and ye shall be brought before rulers and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them. And the gospel must be first published among all nations. But when they shall lead you and deliver you up, take no thought beforehand what you're going to say, nor premeditate. But whatsoever shall be given you in that hour, speak ye. For it is not ye that speak, but the Holy Ghost. Now the brother shall be, I told you, family against family. Now the brother shall betray the brother to death, father, son. Children shall rise up against their parents, which is happening today, and shall cause them to be put to death. That's not so much, but it's coming. And ye shall be hated of all men for my sake. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. But when ye shall see the abomination desolate spoke by David the prophet, standing where it ought not, let him listening understand. Then let them that be in Judea flee to the mountains. Let them in the housetops not go down into the house, nor enter therein, or take anything out of his house. Let him that is in the field not turn back in to take up his garments. But woe to them with child and the given suck in those days. And pray ye that your flight be not in the winter. For in those days shall be affliction, such as not from the beginning of creation, which God created unto this time, neither shall be. And except that the Lord shorten those days, no flesh shall be saved. But for the elect's sake, whom he has chosen, he has shortened the days. And then, if any man shall say to you, Lo, there is Christ, or Lo, he is there, believe him not. For false Christs, plural, and false prophets shall rise, and shall show signs and wonders to seduce, if it were possible, even the elect. But verse 23, again, Luke is saying, here's Jesus with his hands on his hip. But ye take heed, behold, I have foretold you all things. But in those days after the tribulation, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars of heaven shall fall, and powers that are in the heavens shall be shaken. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in the clouds with great power and glory. And then shall he send his angels, and shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from the uppermost part of the earth to the uttermost part of heaven. So you see the story was told twice. That's how important it was. I'm telling it a third time if you want to measure that part, but please shoot for the rapture, not the tribulation. That's my whole point. One way into heaven is through Jesus. Two ways to Jesus. In favor or without your heart on him. Just set your heart on him. All these cancer victims and all these druggies and alcoholics and just people in depression, just turn your heart to God. It's time. This is all a measurement for you to turn your heart to God. Quit being the proverbial teenager. There's people out there saying, well, he was just talking to the Jews. There you are, back in Adam and Eve's days. Ah, but the serpent beguiled me, and the woman told me this, and this. Quit blaming the Jews. This is your life, not theirs. I mean, would you rather be in the rapture or the tribulation? That's all I got. I can't take you there. I can't give you. And if you're going to ask me if you go there or not, I don't care. It's your choice. I'm not here to force it on you. I want you to go with me. I want to go, but I can't spend my time and waste my time on you trying to get you there. All right. So I pray you get this, and you set your hearts in the rapture, and be assured a place in heaven, not just a shot at heaven. I pray and hope for all our beings, and may God bless you. I hope you understand this. Amen. And I'm going to try and make another video, but I got to buy some stuff first, and it's going to be a whiteboard drawing out, breaking down 1, 2, and 3, so you can see what I said in all them videos, and see what this is saying. So I appreciate your time, I appreciate your love, I appreciate your support. If you got to tithe anything, tithe these words. They're more important than any money. if the end is coming and it's coming fast, money ain't going to matter anyway. So I hope it's not that fast, but I don't control it. So anyway, I love y'all, and I'll see you soon, I hope.